From sugarcane to spinach, August gave us harvest, pruning, and the first blooms of spring. Let's dive in. August might still be raining and the last breath of winter here in Adelaide, but our garden is far from being quiet. The air carries hints of spring, and every corner shows signs of change. From harvesting greens to pruning trees, sowing seeds and watching new growth emerge. It's just been a month of transitions. Namaskaram! I'm Srideep and welcome back to Blossom Your Way, where we focus on growing what matters in your garden, your home, and your life. This month, we have harvested spinach, sorrel, fenugreek, curry leaves, garden cress, tomatoes, and even sugarcane. We've pruned our trees, prepped our raised beds, sown our spring seeds, and watched the flowers come alive. There's so much to share, and I would love to know what's happening in your garden too. So, let me take you through everything that unfolded in August. Although it's late winter, so many plants are showing signs of life. Our blueberry plants are now forming flower buds. I refreshed the soil in our blueberry bed with acidic mix and topped it with peat moss to maintain acidity. The mulberry plant we pruned last month has bounced back beautifully, already full of new growth and showing early signs of fruit. Our guava plant, which is in a pot and couldn't get pruned this year, has already managed to set a couple of fruits. And the pomegranate I pruned back in July is now bursting with lush spring growth. We also harvested the last of our sugarcane and pruned our super dwarf Cavendish banana plant. The mandarin tree had a good trim, as did our curry leaf plant and the Indian jasmine plant. You might remember from our July video that our moringa tree looked completely dead with no leaves all year. I tried pruning it in July, but the stump was so loose, so I finally removed it this month. I will need to purchase a new moringa, and though it's sad to say goodbye, this tree has given us many nutritious meals over the years. The winter flower plants I showed you last month, when they were still in the bud stage, are now blooming beautifully with soft pink flowers. Unfortunately, I couldn't prune the apple trees because of the continuous rain. But if the weather doesn't improve, I may need to forego pruning altogether this season. But I'll keep you posted, so make sure to subscribe and follow along for updates. And here's a fun one. Do you recognize this orange flowering plant? Drop your guesses in the comments below. I will reveal the name at the end of the video. This month, we also focused on tidying up the backyard. There's an area under a covered roof where outdoor plants never did well. And even my indoor plants struggled inside the house. So a couple of years ago, I moved all my indoor plants to this spot. As you can see in this photo from when I first planted them, and now, just 1.5 years later, they had grown a lot. But recently, it wasn't looking very aesthetic. So we cleared the whole area and gave it a very heavy prune. I feel this space has been ignored for too long. Now, we have refreshed the soil in the growing patch and even set up a trellis along the fence. I already have plans lined up for this area, so I'll keep you updated as it develops. In the rest of the backyard, I pruned the lemongrass and gave our red mandevilla a hard prune after an aphid attack, which is quite common at this time of the year. Our beetle leaf plant, this is a Sri Lankan variety, is also doing well, though it's had a few caterpillar attacks. We use beetle leaves during traditional festivals and they're wonderful for gum health as well as deeply rooted in Indian traditions. If anyone of you know where I can purchase an Indian variety of beetle leaf, please let me know in the comments. I would love to grow it too. Most of our flowering plants got a haircut as well. And just look at the size of our monster leaves. I pruned it back heavily and hope to regrow it into a single stem plant. That's where we are right now. The garden is waking up, one plant at a time. Please keep following along for more updates. Winter may slow down plant growth, but it's the ideal season to refresh the soil. This month, I tackled a lot of weeds across the garden. It just feels like a never-ending job, but I feel every bit makes a difference. In the front garden, I prepared our third raised bed. We loosened the soil, cleared the weeds and the plants, and added kitchen scraps using our trench composting method. Since raised beds lose nutrients quickly, refreshing them now sets the stage for healthy, vigorous growth in spring. If you'd like a detailed step-by-step guide on how I prepare my raised beds for big harvests, I have linked my garden bed prep video for you. I also made my own seed raising mix this month. I'll be sharing a dedicated video on that soon, so keep an eye out. I will link it here once it's live. Even though it's still cold, seed sowing has already begun. In our first bed, I sowed carrots, beetroots, kale, spinach, lettuce, turmeric, fenugreek and garden cress. The radish seeds that I planted back in July have sprouted beautifully. I sowed 2 seeds per hole and most of them germinated. I've already thinned the seedlings, keeping only the strongest ones and snipping off the extras. Whenever I thin, I always take time to check each seedling and make sure I leave the healthiest one behind, as you can see here. Fenugreek and garden cress are my quick crops. I sowed them in early August and by the end of the month they were ready to harvest. I also did a succession planting towards the end of August to keep the harvest coming. The snow peas, this is the Yakumo variety. This variety has just started flowering. Their delicate blooms are such a joy to see, and soon they will reward us with big, sweet pods. I also started seeds for tomatoes, eggplants, and chilies. If you'd like to know the exact varieties, please let me know in the comments and I would be happy to share. The tomato seedlings have already sprouted. I can't wait to transplant them once the weather warms up. This month's weather has been unpredictable with a couple of weeks of heavy rain. But despite the challenges, sowing has continued and the garden keeps moving forward. Earlier I mentioned pruning, but what really stood out this month is just how important a good prune can be. From the banana and the curry leaf plants to the mandarin, lemongrass, jasmine and even our roses, trimming them back now sets the garden up for a stronger spring. The roses especially had an aphid attack, so instead of spraying, I gave them a heavy prune. I'll be watching closely to see how they recover. Sometimes cutting back hard is the best way to encourage fresh, healthy growth. It's a reminder that less greenery now often means more vigorous growth later. And now for my favorite part, harvest time. This month we picked plenty of leafy greens, spinach, silver beets and generous rounds of fenugreek and garden cress. The sorrel harvests were especially satisfying. The bowl full of tangy, fresh leaves. We also wrapped up the sugarcane season with our final harvest. And though the tomato plants didn't give us a huge yield, getting fresh, homegrown tomatoes right in the middle of winter always feels extra special. The highlight, of course, was turmeric. After harvesting, we processed it into golden turmeric powder. Such a rewarding feeling to hold spice that came straight from our own garden. I'll be sharing a full video on the turmeric process very soon, and I'll link it here once it goes live. So that's our August garden, a month of pruning, soil prep, sowing and harvesting. We harvested spinach, sorrel, sugarcane, turmeric, fenugreek and garden cress. We pruned fruit trees, refreshed the raised beds, sowed spring crops and even set up a new trellis in the backyard. Honestly, with the weather this month, I felt like I hadn't achieved much. But sitting down to record this video and looking back, I realized we have actually done a lot. It's a reminder to pause, celebrate the progress, and be grateful for what the garden gives us, while stepping forward with fresh ideas for the season ahead. I'm super happy with what we've managed to accomplish, and I would love to hear about your garden too. What have your wins been this month? And what are you hoping to grow or improve on next? Please share them in the comments. I would love to read them. Looking ahead, September is when things really start to take off. More sowings, transplanting seedlings, and hopefully the very first Snowy harvest. I am so looking forward to sharing that journey with you. And that mystery flower I showed you earlier, it's called pig face. Did you guess it right? Thank you for joining me in this month's garden update. If you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share it with friends and family who enjoy gardening. Please don't forget to hit the bell icon so you don't miss the exciting spring updates. And remember, please keep growing what matters. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to begin. See you all next time.